Hi, good afternoon. You're watching the Midday News on Rajya Sabha television. All the developing news stories at the top of this hour coming up in the next 30 minutes. Let us start with the headlines. No intimidation, coercion or pressure will send us back to the ballot paper era, asserts the Chief Election Commissioner Sunil Arora. Says EVMs and VVPATs are here to stay amid claims of EVM tampering made by US-based cyber expert. After CGI Ranjan Gogoi, Justice Sikri recuses himself from hearing a plea challenging M. Nageshwar Rao's appointment as interim CBI director. Justice Sikri was part of the panel that had removed CBI director Alok Verma. CBI registers FIR in ICICI Bank Videocon loan case, conducts searches of group headquarters in Mumbai and offices in Aurangabad. Offices of Chanda Kojar's husband, Deepak Kojar, also searched. ISRO set to launch India's first student-made satellite Kalamsat today from Sriharikota. Student payload to be launched on board PSLV C-44 along with the military imaging satellite Microsat-R. And in the Australian Open, world number 4, Naomi Osaka and Petra Kvitova make it through to the final of the women's singles. World number 2, Rafael Nadal to take on Tsitsipas in a short while. The biggest story this afternoon, Chief Election Commissioner Sunil Arora on Thursday clarified that electronic voting machines, that is EVMs and VVPATs, are here to stay. He asserted that India is not going back to the era of ballot papers. Here is a report. All right, a big of the Lok Sabha elections, where it has been clarified by the Chief Election Commissioner that the EVMs and VVPATs are here to stay. He has ruled out return to the paper ballot system.
Chief Election Commissioner Sunil Arora made it clear on Thursday that no intimidation, no coercion or pressure will lead to usage of ballot papers in the elections. He said that in the recently held assembly elections in 5 states, there was not a single incident of discrepancy between the voter verifiable paper audit slip and the vote cast by the EVM button.
In fact, it's not I, it's the entire ECI. It's the ECIs of the past and it will be the ECIs of the future, that we are not going back to the era of ballot papers. And we are not going back to that era where we have ballot papers being lifted, musclemen being employed, besides the delay in the counting and also too much harassment of the polling staff on the ground.
The Chief Election Commissioner underlined the motivated slugfest over the EVMs. He also stressed that in 2014 general elections, there was one result, while in Delhi Assembly polls, there was a different outcome. The Assembly elections conducted in different states have also thrown up varied results.
Elections in Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat, Karnataka, Tripura, Nagaland, Mizoram, and now Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, Rajasthan, maybe 1 or 2 states are left since then, including some by-elections to the Lok Sabha. The results have been completely different at different times. You're all very learned people. My simple question is that if the result is X, EVM is right. If the result turns out to be Y, the EVM is faulted.
Delhi police have already registered a case based on a complaint filed by the Election Commission against a self-proclaimed cyber expert who alleged that EVMs had been hacked and polls rigged in 2014. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
In fact, Kriti Mishra is now joining us live from the newsroom. Kriti, now Chief Election Commissioner making it very, very clear there that EVMs and VVPATs are going to be continued, and he has ruled out return to the paper ballot. So tell us about the points that were put forth by the CEC on the matter today.
Well, Aishwarya, amid all the tennis allegations being levelled against the EVMs, the Chief Election Commissioner has used three very strong words to send out an explicit and unequivocal message that India will not be coerced, intimidated or pressurized into using ballot papers. He also urged all the political parties not to use EVM as a football to hide the failures. He also said that insinuations are made without corroborating them with facts. In fact, the Technical Experts Committee on the EVM said that Election Commission's EVMs are stand-alone machines. They are connected to the ballot units, the control units, and also the VVPATs through cables in a full public view. The Technical Expert Committee has also said that it is not possible to establish any kind of communication with the EVM either through a wireless network or through any radio frequency. Aishwarya, you may also recall in 2017, the Election Commission also held a hackathon, and the Election Commission had challenged all the political parties to come forward and manipulate or tinker the EVMs. In fact, in the recently concluded 5 assembly election states, also when we were traveling, when we were on the ground, the district election commissioners also organized huge programs wherein they encouraged people to come forward, tinker with the EVMs, experiment and convince themselves. In fact, there were huge demonstrations wherein the VVPAT was displayed and a slip emerged which stayed for 7 seconds to cross-check the vote that has been cast. So certainly the Election Commission has made clear that EVMs and VVPATs are here to stay and that India is not returning back to the ballot paper era. Aishwarya?
And Kriti, as far as some of the outlandish EVM hacking claims that have been made recently, especially by a man in London event, and also some political parties also casting aspersions on EVMs and VVPATs, is the Election Commission looking at some of the ways to further convince these the people as well as political parties on how foolproof the machines really are?
Well, the Election Commission has made it absolutely clear that the EVM machines are absolutely foolproof, and in fact the allegations that are being levelled and the insinuations that are being levelled, that are not foolproof. There's a technical expert committee that is headed by professors of IIT Delhi, IIT Mumbai, and of course the Election Commission has time and again said that it is ready to speak to all the stakeholders and assuage all the concerns, but certainly making it clear that EVMs cannot be tampered or manipulated with. Aishwarya?
Right, Kriti. Thank you so much for all those updates there. We'll keep coming back to you in the subsequent bulletins. Thank you so much. And on to the other top story this afternoon. Supreme Court Judge Justice A.K. Sikri has recused himself from hearing a plea challenging the centre's decision to appoint M. Nageshwar Rao as the interim CBI director. A bench headed by Justice Sikri listed the matter for Friday for hearing before a different bench. As soon as the matter came up for hearing, Justice Sikri told a senior advocate Dushyant Dave, appearing for petitioner NGO Common Cause, that he would not like to hear the matter and was recusing himself. Remember, Justice Sikri was part of the high-powered panel which had removed CBI Director Alok Verma. In midday news, time for a very short break here. We'll be right back with more news. Don't go anywhere.
Rabindranath Tagore was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913 for his book Gitanjali. In 1950, he composed the music and lyrics for India's national anthem, Jana Gana Mana. And when Bangladesh became independent in 1971, they chose Tagore's song, Amar Shonar Bangla, as its national anthem. Tagore's life and works have made him a cultural icon, studied the world over, even into the 21st century.
Welcome back after the break. In a major boost to the Indian security, Indian Navy is all set to commission INS Kohasa at Digipur in North Andaman today. A runway strip has been upgraded and converted into a full-fledged air base in the northern part of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and it has been named as INS Kohasa. The Indian Navy will have full command over the new airbase, which will play an important role in strengthening the monitoring capabilities of the Indian Navy in this part of the Indian Ocean. Now, this region of Indian Ocean is very critical because it has been witnessing a lot of military activity by China recently. The facility was earlier known as INS Shivpur and has been renamed as INS Kohasa after the extension of facilities at the base here. And on to the other top story this afternoon. ISRO, or the Indian Space Research Organization, is all set to launch its first student-made satellite, KalamSat, today. The student payload will be launched along with the military imaging satellite, MicroSat-R. The satellites will be launched on board Polar rocket PSLV C-44 from the Satish Dhawan Space Center in Sriharikota at 11:37 p.m. on Thursday night. The 18-hour countdown for the launch is underway. PSLV C-44 is the first mission of PSLV-DL, which is a new variant of the 44.4-meter tall rocket equipped with a two-strap-on configuration. The four-stage PSLV with the alternating solid and liquid stages has so far launched 53 Indian and 269 satellites of international customers. Mauritian Prime Minister Praveen Kumar Jugnauth arrived at the Kumbh Mela at Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh today. The Mauritian Prime Minister visited Sangam and Hanuman Temple and Kumbh's newly developed Integrated Command Control Centre. And today is the National Girl Child Day, and Women and Child Development Ministry will celebrate National Girl Child at the Pravasi Bharatiya Kendra in Chanukyapuri. The theme of this year's National Girl Child Day is empowering girls for a brighter tomorrow and celebrating with the objectives of generating awareness on the issue of declining child sex ratio and create a positive environment around valuing the girl child. The program will also observe the anniversary of a Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme. Women and Child Development Minister Maneka Gandhi will grace the occasion as the chief guest. The minister will felicitate principal secretaries and commissioners of the 5 states for their overall support, guidance and monitoring of the scheme. While the district magistrates and deputy commissioners of 25 districts will also be felicitated for their exemplary work done in 3 categories. A booklet on innovations under Beti Bachao Beti Padhao will also be released on the occasion. The Supreme Court is devising a mechanism to do away with the process of mentioning pleas orally for urgent listing. Now, this was informed by Chief Justice of India Rajya Gogoi on Wednesday. He said that the new mechanism would ensure automatic listing of a fresh case for hearing within 4 days of the filing. However, if a matter cannot wait for 4 days, then lawyers can mention their petitions for urgent listing before the top court registrar. Remember, oral mentioning is a convention by which lawyers short-circuit the long-winded filing procedures and make a direct appeal to the CJI, who is the court's administrative head and also the master of roster, for early hearing. The CJI takes a call on the spot after glancing through the case papers whether the case deserves to be heard out of turn. The remarks of CJI Ranjan Gogoi came after a lawyer mentioned the matter for urgent listing before a bench, also comprising Justices L. Nageshwar Rao and Sanjeev Khanna, saying that it has been over 3 days, but his case has not been listed. Remember, cases filed in the Supreme Court generally take up to 7 days before being listed for hearing. The CBI has filed a FIR in connection with the alleged irregularities in the 3,250 crore rupees ICICI Bank Videocon loan case. The CBI is also carrying out searches at the group headquarters in Mumbai and offices in Aurangabad. The search operation began Thursday morning and also covered offices of New Power, a company operated by ICICI Bank's former CEO Chanda Kocher's husband Deepak Kocher and Supreme Energy. It is alleged that Videocon promoter Venugopal Dhoot allegedly invested crores of rupees in New Power months after the Videocon group got 3,250 crore rupees as a loan from the ICICI Bank in 2012. The agency had registered a preliminary inquiry against Videocon promoter Venugopal Dhoot, Deepak Kochar and unidentified others in March last year. Another very short break here. We'll be right back.
The Nehru Trophy boat race of Kerala, popularly called Vallam Kali in local parlance. This historic boat race dates back to 1952 when Pandit Nehru visited the state and a pageantry of boats accompanied him from Kottayam to Alappuzha. The race, conducted on the second Saturday of August every year, is a major tourist attraction. It's generally the snake boats which participate in the race, and hence the shape of the winner's trophy is also a replica of a snake boat.
Union Minister Piyush Goyal was given the additional charge of the Finance Ministry on Wednesday. Goyal is filling in for Union Minister Arun Jaitley, who is away in the United States for medical treatment. According to sources, Jaitley's return could be delayed. Goyal is also most likely to present the interim budget next month. In a communique issued on Wednesday, Rashtrapati Bhavan stated that Jaitley has been designated as Minister without portfolio until he is able to resume work. Now, this is for the second time that Goyal is given the additional charge of the Finance Ministry. He was given the additional charge of the Finance in May last year after Arun Jaitley underwent a kidney transplant surgery. Chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Union Cabinet took some key decisions on Wednesday. The Cabinet approved the extension of Delhi Metro to new bus terminal in Ghaziabad. Here is a report.
In order to provide a much-needed additional public transport infrastructure to NCR, the Union Cabinet on Wednesday approved the extension of the Delhi Metro corridor from Dilshad Garden to new bus adda in Ghaziabad. The total distance of the extended line will be 9.41 kilometers. The meet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has also approved contribution of 324.87 crore rupees as central financial assistance for the extension, with the total completion cost of 1,781.21 crore rupees. The centre has also approved the creation of the National Bench of the Goods and Services Tax Appellate Tribunal. The bench will be situated in New Delhi. The tribunal shall be presided over by the President and shall consist of one technical member each from centre and state. GST Act is the forum of second appeal in GST laws and the first common forum of dispute resolution between centre and states.
जो स्टेट के डिस्प्यूट्स होंगे उसके खिलाफ कहां अपील होगी? तो ट्राइब्यूनल में अपील होगी. कई बार स्टेट वर्सेस स्टेट में कोई डिस्प्यूट होंगे, उसकी अपील कहां होगी? तो सेंट्रल ट्राइब्यूनल में होगी. तो इसका रिकमेंडेशन जीएसटी काउंसिल ने किया था और जीएसटी काउंसिल के अनुसार ये आज स्थापित किया गया. इसमें चेयरमैन होंगे, बाकी मेंबर्स होंगे, लेकिन इससे पूरे जीएसटी के डिस्प्यूट रेजोल्यूशन में एक बहुत फास्ट ट्रैकिंग आएगी, ये आपको हम बताना चाहते हैं.
Apart from this, the government also approved the signing of an MOU between India and Kuwait for cooperation on the recruitment of domestic workers.
उनके नियुक्ति के बारे में, उनके सर्विस कंडीशंस के बारे में, उनके लीव के बारे में, ये सब कई बार कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करके भाग जाया करते थे लोग, तो उसमें सेफ्टी के बारे में तो कुवैत गवर्नमेंट हैज आल्सो एग्रीड. So this MOU in that way is a very significant step in ensuring safety, security and dignity of service conditions for Indian expatriates working as domestic workers in Kuwait.
Over 3 lakh Indian domestic workers, of which 90,000 are women, working in Kuwait would benefited by the move. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in some other key decisions, the Union Cabinet also approved amendments to the framework on currency swap arrangement for SAARC member countries by incorporating a standby facility of $400 million. The latest decision will enable India to provide quick response to the SAARC member countries for availing of a swap amount exceeding the present prescribed limit. The latest facility is within the existing approved overall $2 billion currency swap arrangement for the SAARC nations. The cabinet also gave approval to the agreement between India and Japan in the field of food processing sector. The agreement is for better understanding of food processing practices in the two countries to improve the food processing sector, market access and introduce innovative techniques. Railways will be the first government department to implement the 10% quota for the general category poor. Railways Minister Piyush Goyal said that the railways will also provide around 23,000 jobs in the next 2 years for them without affecting the present reservation applicable for other categories. Railways will recruit around 1.31 lakh employees within the next 6 months and about 1 lakh more over the next 2 years. In the next 3 years, a vacuum of 1 lakh vacancies are expected as the thousands of railway employees would retire by 2021.
4 लाख नई नौकरियां रेलवे अकेले देने जा रहा है, जिसमें 1.5 लाख की तो प्रोसेस बहुत आगे बढ़ चुकी है। लगभग 2-2.5 महीने में पूरा प्रोसेस भी खत्म हो जाएगा, लोग नौकरी पे आना शुरू हो जाएंगे। और ये आज निर्णय लिया है कि बाकी भी जो वैकेंसीज हैं, लगभग जो वैकेंसीज हैं और जो अगले 2 वर्ष में रिटायरमेंट होंगे, उसके लिए एडवांस में प्लानिंग करके ये सिलसिला भी शुरू किया जाए।
Participants of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas Convention, including Mauritian Prime Minister, are scheduled to visit the Kumbh Mela in Prayagraj today. Later in the day, the participants are also scheduled to travel to Delhi to attend the Republic Day Parade on Saturday. Indian Railways is running a special train for the Pravasis from Prayagraj to Delhi. And on the last day of the event yesterday, President Ramnath Kovind called upon the Indian diaspora to partner in the development of New India. Addressing the valedictory session, President Ramnath Kovind said that Indian diaspora is commanding global heights and is our cultural ambassador. The President said that India wants to leverage the technology and investment of NRIs to power central government schemes like Make in India, Digital India, Clean India and Skill India programs. President Kovind also conferred the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman on 30 members of the Indian diaspora for their significant contributions.
The Indian diaspora is among the largest in the world and its history as rich as diverse as the diaspora itself. In the hoary past, our ancestors traveled to Southeast Asia as merchants and as monks. Much later, many lived and prospered as traders and entrepreneurs along the ancient Silk Route. And more than a century ago, under the indenture system, we witnessed millions of our people crossing the 7 seas. The world has moved a long way since for our diaspora. You are commanding global heights today while embracing your cultural ethos and diversity. And while you do so, you must also preserve and strengthen your unity as a community.
News from Switzerland now, where German Chancellor Angela Merkel has said that countries like India and China have begun affecting the world economy much more today. Speaking at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting at Davos in Switzerland, Angela Merkel said that the influence of India and China need to be taken into account for having a relook at the global trade and financial systems. Highlighting the emergence of organizations like the G20 and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Angela Merkel said that there is a wake-up call for the world and we need to find out how to move forward. Making a veiled attack at policies being adopted by countries like the United States, Merkel urged the Western powers to think beyond their narrow national interests. Merkel said that compromise these days has a very bad reputation, but a global architecture is only possible if we are able to compromise. She also stressed on the need to reform global organizations such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank to restore confidence in the global financial system.
Wir haben aber auch erlebt, dass diese internationalen Organisationen letztendlich sich nur sehr schwerfällig reformieren. Wenn ich mal alleine daran denke, wie viele Jahre wir gebraucht haben, die Quotenreform beim IWF durchzuführen oder jetzt die Kapitalerhöhung bei der Weltbank. Letztlich waren diese Veränderungen dringend notwendig, weil längst Schwellenländer wie China, wie Indien sehr viel stärker natürlich unsere Weltwirtschaft beeinflussen. Und wenn ein bestehendes System viel zu langsam darauf reagiert, dann ist die Folge natürlich, dass sich andere mit neuen Institutionen dann auch bemerkbar machen.
In more news from the World Economic Forum, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on Wednesday asked the world leaders to rebuild trust in the international trading system and urged countries like the US, China and India to breathe fresh life into the WTO. Abe took the stage at the World Economic Forum's 2019 annual meeting in Davos in Switzerland on Wednesday, where he stressed Japan's commitment to enhancing a free, open and rules-based international order. Abe told audience at the World Economic Forum that it was time to rebuild trust in international trade. His speech comes at a time when the United States is pulling back from free trade and its ongoing trade dispute with China has policymakers and the markets concerned. Japan is also set to host the next meeting of the G20 in Osaka in June this year, and Abe said that the meeting would be used to put trade, climate and data governance at the heart of the talks between leaders from the world's 20 most industrialized nations. The Japanese Prime Minister added that the world needed to realize that fighting the effects of pollution and climate change could be an economic benefit as well. This year's annual meeting at Davos, which has attracted more than 3,000 leaders from the areas of politics, business and academia, as well as non-government organizations, took place in the absence of many major political figures who were busy trying to solve issues at home. And at the day of semi-finals at the Australian Open today, world number 8 Petra Kvitova of Czech Republic has entered the final of the women's singles after defeating Danielle Collins of the United States 7-6, 6-3. While in the second semi-final, Naomi Osaka of Japan defeated Karolina Pliskova of the Czech Republic to make it through to the final. Osaka reached the semi-finals after earlier defeating Elena Svitolina of Ukraine in the quarters. Both Osaka and Kvitova will face each other in the final on Saturday. And in the men's singles semi-final, world number 2 Rafael Nadal will face Greek player Stefanos Tsitsipas in a short while from now. Tsitsipas eliminated some of the big tennis players in the tournament, including former Australian Open winner Roger Federer. That's it in this edition of Midday News. Thanks for watching.